call to order the September 25th Elk Creek Fire Protection District Board of Directors meeting. I think everybody should have gotten an email. Dominique, President Devaney, is not going to be here this evening. She has asked me to run the meeting in her stead, so I plan to do that. So, as part of kicking things off, if we could stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance, we can get started. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, I guess with that, maybe we could stay standing. Bethany, are you going to read this month's line of duty to us? Appreciate it if we could all have a moment of silence.
Thank you. And just as a slight preamble, last weekend, or for about three days, I was down in Colorado Springs for the annual IFF Fallen Firefighter Memorial. Is held every year in the Springs. We put 311 new names on that wall this year, and I worked with family registration. So the families of the people whose names I've been reading last year walked in, and I met them, and that was a very sobering moment. So I appreciate that we do this, and it became even more special to me that we do honor these people when I met their families. That's last weekend. So since we read these names last time, we've lost 9 of our brothers and sisters. On August 25th, Brian Hatt, 51 years old. He was an MVA while responding to an incident on an apparatus from Waywick, Kentucky. On August 31st, Danny Wilson, 55 years old, of occupational cancer in Loudoun, Virginia. September 4th, Douglas William, 65 years old. He had a heart attack after participating in a training exercise in Marietta, Ohio. September 9th, Lucas Luke Gelhaus, 41 years old. He was in a motor vehicle accident while responding to an incident in his personal vehicle, Celestine, Indiana. September 8th, Hank Hester, 70 years old. He had a heart attack while operating heavy equipment on the Dragon Bravo fire in the Grand Canyon, performing suppression repair, Grand Canyon, Arizona. September 8th, Preston Fant, 53 years old. He was killed in a structure fire on the fireground in DeKalb County, Georgia. On September 14th, both Damon Thompson, 21 years old, and Brenna Kukowski, 31 years old, were both killed in a head-on collision while returning from a call in an ambulance in White Mountain, Arizona. And on 9/16, Stephen Scott, 62 years old, heart attack while transporting a patient in the ambulance in Houston, Texas.
Thank you. Another moment of silence, please. Thank you. So it's not on the agenda, but before we kind of continue on, we'd just like to do a quick roll call. We've got Director Noonan, Director Woods, Director Leo, Director Newby. Is Director Devaney online? Okay, let's show that Director Devaney is absent, but we still have a quorum, so we'll proceed with the agenda. As we look at the agenda, are there any additions or deletions to the agenda, or are we prepared to approve the agenda as it is?
I had an addition under old business. We should put that collective bargaining agreement update on there. So we can do it as item 9C.
9C. Any other additions? Do I have a motion to approve the agenda with the addition of the collective bargaining agreement as item 9C under old business?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Director Leo, real quick, sorry, this is John Camille,
Yes.
remote in. Just for a procedural point on Director Devaney's absence, just for confirming on the record that it's an excused absence, we just have a quick motion to excuse that absence, so it's reflected in the minutes that it's excused.
Okay, thank you, John, for that update. Do we have a motion?
I make a motion to excuse Director Devaney's absence.
I second. All in favor? Aye. All right, thank you, John. So at this point, then, we'll go to the public comment period. Do we have any? Okay, Neil Whitehead III is up first. Sharon, can you be the timekeeper? Thank you.
No problem.
Ready?
I'm ready.
My comments this evening are a continuation of remarks I made at the August Board of Directors meeting. And tonight my talk is titled, Volunteers, Their Future in the Elk Creek Fire Protection District. In the September 5th, 24 edition of the Canyon Courier, Fire Chief Ware said, quote, "It is becoming harder and harder to recruit and maintain a core group of volunteers. We have to make some tough decisions about our level of risk tolerance for citizens who need a reliable response when they call 911, end quote. In the same article, the PIO of Elk Creek Fire, Bethany Urban, and President of the Firefighters Local 4710 Union, speaking of the quarry fire, said, quote, "We can't actually expect volunteers to work in this kind of dangerous terrain. The Conifer Wildland Division team formed to be an initial attack squad. They're trained to be ready to work and have the ability to fight a fire in this wildland/urban interface. Volunteers are not training for that every day, and we wouldn't expect them to," end quote. To the Elk Creek Fire Chief, I do not see where you have made in 2024 any effort to recruit and train new volunteers in the Elk Creek Fire Academy, nor did you publicize the joint Conifer Elk Creek EMS Academy to the public in early 2025. To the Union 4710 local president, your remarks about Elk Creek volunteers who have graduated from our fire academy, quote, "We can't actually expect volunteers to work in this kind of dangerous terrain," end quote, is insulting to the volunteers, as the whole district is mostly dangerous terrain. To the board, you need to mention to the fire chief and the union that recruitment, training, and retention of a core group of volunteers is expected by the electors of this district, and you need their permission to do away with volunteers and not the vote of 4 members, board members. Finally, will there be a Conifer Fire, Elk Creek Fire Academy in the fall of 2025 or winter of 2026? Will this happen with no notice to the public to elicit volunteers for EMS and fire academies? You cannot claim that you not have volunteers and use that as an argument to do away with volunteers if you never announce the need for volunteers. Thank you.
Thank you. The next up is Philip Koch. Is he online? Okay.
Flip, can you hear us?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I'm working my microphone backwards. So, good evening. You ready for the timer here?
Ready to
Yes.
time you. Go.
Okay, thank you. Good evening. Thank you for this opportunity to address the Elk Creek FPD Board of Directors. My name is Flip Koch. I reside in the Wombly Valley area of Elk Creek. I'm a third-generation firefighter and volunteer member of this FPD. However, I speak here, as always, as a private citizen informed by my years of fire and other emergency services. For a core request, first the updated newbie legal cost tally. In the past 32 months, Elk Creek taxpayers have spent $69,848.32 on legal fees directly attributable to this director, now amounting to just under 60% of Elk Creek's total legal budget during this period, and 66% of it this year. For comparison, these funds, Elk Creek could instead have purchased about 19 SCBAs or breathing apparatus, or else about 12 sets of bunker gear to keep us from burning up during structure fires. Second, the updated obstruction and unification by Nubian Whitehead Tower. It has exceeded $54,400 in legal and election costs already paid by us taxpayers, or the equivalent cost of 17 SCBAs and 10 sets of bunker gear. Estimated total cost to taxpayer by this time next year, if Nubian Whitehead get their way, has risen to $800,000, mostly through lost service contracts with Conifer FPD and higher property taxes by virtue of Elk Creek not being part of Conifer FPD, which has a lower mill levy rate. This is equivalent to the cost of a new fire engine that is mid-range in price. These are colossal and unproductive wastes of taxpayer funds. And I was going to speak about something else, but in light of what Mr. Whitehead has said, I would like to go on record as a volunteer in this department of not taking offense to what PIO Bethany Urban said about the danger levels and in things like the quarry fire. I think that's an appropriate comment. I would have been on that fire myself had I not been on another fire in Idaho. Right now I'm returning from fires in Washington State, where I actually generate revenue for the department, as opposed to these two gentlemen who subtract revenue from the department. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right, anybody else? I think that was it. So with that, we'll proceed to review and approval of the August 2025 regular meeting minutes. Is there any discussion, any input on those minutes?
I have one quick adjustment on the financials. Can we update the bill.com to BILL compared to bills for the record, please?
Which item is that, please? Is that Lamont?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
On item 7, implement bill.com, BILL, compared to build, the D, just for the record, and then I'm all set.
Okay. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Okay. Do I have a motion then to approve the regular meeting minutes from August 28th, 2025 with the one amendment changing bill.com to bill.com?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any abstain? Noes? No. Okay. Alrighty then. Regular meeting minutes have been reviewed and approved. That brings us to the financial matters. Director Woods, are you going to speak to that, or is Lamont?
I have nothing to say to because I didn't develop this one page that you have. Apparently,
I am ready if you guys are.
I'm not ready yet, thank you. Just a moment, please.
Okay.
So, someone decided that I no longer will be presenting the monthly financials. As part of my duties of treasurer, it seems that I should be presenting the monthly financials based on our bylaws. However, I don't remember a vote that the board decided to remove me from that duty. Anybody remember that?
It's my understanding that it's an operational decision within Chief Ware's
Okay.
wheelhouse.
It's in our bylaws, and it says that I'm supposed to have the responsibility of being the main financial
It
officer.
says, I think it says you shall cause to have the books looked at.
Hang on. It says that the treasurer shall be the principal financial officer of the district and may, not shall, may call upon the district staff or utilize the service of the district's accountants and our bookkeeper to assist with the treasurer's responsibilities to perform his or her duties. The treasurer shall perform all duties incident to the office of treasurer, or as may be delegated by the president, and upon request of the board, shall make such reports to it as may be by the board.
But
So
as I read that, it states that you can use the services of the accounting firm, which is CLA. As you and I have talked on the phone, you have an opportunity to review input from CLA. So at this point, I see we should move on with the financial presentation by Lamont.
I'm going to object to that, and I'm going to make a motion that the treasurer, that would be me, perform the duties of presenting the financials at the next November, at the next meeting, which will be in October 2025.
I will second that motion.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All against? Nay? So I guess we have a standstill. John, can you help me on procedural items in this case?
I mean, ultimately, at this point, with the breakdown of the board, it's a stalemate. You can discuss it further if you want and see if the stalemate breaks, or if not, I would recommend tabling until the next meeting to make the determination on future actions. Since the consultant is prepared to do the presentation this evening already. So I think, really, is anyone going to kind of change their mind? You can discuss it a little bit. But if not, I would just suggest tabling it till you have the full 5 to make that determination. But right now, I think we can proceed with the prepared statement on the financials.
Okay, based on the input from legal counsel and the fact that we have a tied vote, we'll table the vote on who's responsible for the presentation until the next board meeting. I would like to hear Lamont's prepared information, and I have some questions based upon that. So Lamont, could you please proceed with the financial matters?
Yes, thank you guys for having me today. Excited to be here. I prepared a summary of the information from management. I'd like to say that the district has all reconciling funds on hand as of August 31st. In the operating account, we had $499,000, $654. In the investment account, which we hold in Coldwell Trust, we had $9.296 million on hand. And the district had cash disbursements in the amount of $339,988 during the month of August. Revenues through August 31st totaled about $6.41 million, which is roughly 85% of budgeted revenues. The tax revenue so far is collected at 97%, which is just under 100% of 2025 collections anticipated. Of the tax revenue collected, approximately $89,000 is related to prior year delinquent taxes. Our specific ownership is collected at 78%, and collections are expected roughly at 117% of budgeted. We do have unbudgeted grant awards totaling $536,257. Applications for additional grants are currently being processed. Our other revenues so far are collected at 45%, or $1.2 million, largely driven by lower than anticipated CRRF reimbursements. Our investment yields in that Coldwell Trust account I mentioned earlier are currently averaging about 4.3688% monthly. Our total expenditures through August 31st total $4,850,995, or 65% of our budget expenditures. An even spread of these expenses throughout the budget would be at about 67% used through August, so we're doing good there. Our administration is showing slightly over budget at 71%. However, we take into account our front-loaded expenses such as auditing, insurance, dues, and fees. Our budget is currently about 61%. EMS is showing slightly over at 75%, also due in part to front-loaded expenses. such as medical exams, dispatch, and volunteer incentives. Our wildland suppression is over budget primarily due to unbudgeted expenditures for projects associated with the grant funds, totaling $302,000. In addition, these expenses are primarily reimbursed. All other expenses so far are under anticipated budget, or at or under the anticipated budget of 67%. Are there any questions on what I presented so far today?
Yeah, I do have a couple of questions. Again, point of order, John, do we need to make a motion to approve to start discussion?
No, not at this point, as far as just, asking questions on the board. Ultimately, you can then have a motion to accept the financial report, and then you can have any additional discussion related to that. But right now, yeah, it's fine to just ask questions.
Okay, all right, thank you. Lamont, thank you for that. I've got a couple of questions here. You referenced at the beginning there's some IGAs that are not yet completed, and I'll come back to that. Part of the question is are they going to be completed in this year? But if I move on to the revenue section, we're at 85% of our revenue with just basically all of our property taxes included, which is the big hitter in our revenue. Do you have an expectation of, do we close the 15% gap or not between where we are today and 100%? Can you speak to that a little bit?
From what I see in your guys' financial statements, I would assume we are going to get close to 100%. You guys are gaining interest at a good amount, and your specific ownership is going to come over. There's a few items on here I'm not as familiar with yet as we get through things such as permits and inspection fees and home assessments, which are at 45 and 56%. And then you will get some more reimbursements from the CRRF. So my assumption based off of my knowledge so far of the districts as I continue to work with Barbara and Chief Ware is that you'll most likely get to a higher percentage of revenue throughout the rest of the year.
Okay, but you can't say at this point whether it's going to be 100% or not.
Not with certainty, no.
Okay, thank you. So kind of similar type question with the expense section. You've got run rate information there that looks like we're going to get to 100% of the expense budget. Is that correct?
So the initial budget, to my understanding, was prepared at a 5% inflation, which is kind of mentioned at the top of this document, with several IGAs hopefully coming into play, or perhaps not, with the potential to amend if needed. As I said, you're kind of trending in a reality where you're going to get to 100%. I can't imagine a scenario where expenses would die down, so I would make the fair assumption that you'll most likely get pretty close to the budget you guys have at hand with the current projections you have.
Okay, great, thank you. So kind of with that, then you don't foresee really much in the way of a gap at this point based on, again, not going to, it's September the 25th and the year's not over yet.
A gap between the budget to actual?
Yeah, the revenue and the expense, I guess, you've got top line revenue and then we have total expenses. Do you expect there to be either over or under? Do you follow my question?
I do. At this time, I don't have a fantastic answer for you as we're still getting our arms wrapped around everything and slowly pouring into the information with Barbara and her team. So I would love to get some more time with the information so I can provide a better answer for you than I probably could at this time.
Okay, great, thank you. Last question. You had mentioned there's some IGAs that were anticipated to be completed, but they're not. Could you speak to those, which IGAs those are, perhaps what kind of revenue was associated with those?
Truthfully, I can't speak to the nature of the agreements. I believe those have to do with the additional firehouses. Perhaps Chief Ware could jump in on that one for the anticipation between those two.
Yeah, Director Leo, I can speak to those if that works.
Yes, thank you.
I believe the IGAs in question we were talking about, we had a shared fleet manager with Conifer Fire via IGA. And then we were planning on a fire marshal IGA, sharing both those labor rates. But through discussions, Congress Fire chose to go with the time and materials rate on that instead of a 50-50 split on their labor.
Okay, thank you. And I recall that from one of the prior board meetings. Are there any other IGAs that's outstanding?
No, not right now. Those were the two that we had discussed, and that's kind of the direction that Congress Fire chose to go.
Okay, great. All right, thank you, Chief. Thank you, Lamont. So with that, are there
You're very welcome.
any other questions? Any other thoughts? No. Okay, with that, can I have a motion to approve the financial highlights as presented?
Motion.
Do I have a second? Second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All against? Okay, so Chuck and Sharon, no. So, you know, with that, I guess we will then have to leave this for next month's board meeting until we have until we can break this tie. John, is that pretty much where we're at here?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, well, with that, I guess we'll have to move on from the financial matters, and we're at Chief Ware's report.
Okay, everybody. Obviously, I'm not there. I'm out of town, but we do have good Wi-Fi, so I'm able to chime in. All right, so August is usually a busy month for Elk Creek. It's one of the busier months we have, and this August was no different. Firefighters were busy all throughout the month with calls. The wet weather kept our wildland fire danger down, and we were able to send firefighters out to assist other agencies in other areas of the country. I did want to touch on one big event. It actually is not in August, it was beginning of September, but Big Chili. The Big Chili event in Evergreen was a huge success. I want to recognize the following members that helped make it a great event and put a lot of work in to pull it off. First off, thank you to Sheena, Lieutenant Beckwith, Lieutenant Devaney, and the association for helping organize everything. Thanks to Chief Aronson, Martha Beckwith, John Gardner, Brian Moore, Miranda and Daniel Tucker, Tom Fitzbina, Sarah Marble, Kelly Fontaine, Katie and Hazel Mosier, Heather Nathan Quisner, Melissa Glover, Al Leo, Tony McManus, Ryan LeBaron, Atlas Trinethan, and Elizabeth Viraquez. Thanks to everybody. I'm sure I forgot a few more people. It couldn't be done without all the individuals that put in a bunch of time. Also wanted to point out that Elizabeth Viraquez won the women's division in the Firefighter Challenge, and Walter Huber competed in the men's division. And thank you to Charlie and Lisa Elliott. They won first place for their veggie chili. So that was all great. Again, that event, all the people volunteering their time made that event a success. All right, operations. Operations were, again, busy but fairly normal. 227 hours of staffing at Station 1 by volunteers. Our average is 3.4 members per call, and 24% of the calls overlapped. Our average response time was 9 minutes. Fires, while we had low fire danger, didn't stop. We did have a handful of small wildland fires. The vegetation is just not receptive with all the moisture we've had. So we did have 9 fires. Everything else, right around normal. We ended up with 135 calls. Mutual aid received by Elk Creek. We received mutual aid twice from Platte Canyon. We actually provided mutual aid 4 times. Ambulance transports kind of tracked right in line with 44 transports. Training, we had 188 hours of training. In fire prevention, 10 inspections, 18 letters, plan reviews, and insurance requests. And kind of an exciting big deal, Captain Yella and Captain Rush, they actually taught a wildland urban interface class with the Fire Marshal Association of Oklahoma after over 400 homes were lost across Oklahoma in March from wildfires. Fleet, so ambulance 8310 as of couple hours ago, the engine was pulled and we figured out what the catastrophic failure was. It appears the number 5 piston no longer exists. It actually exists in small parts. That's why the motor failed. We are getting that rebuilt. Hopefully the rebuild is going to start on that next week and should be back in service here, I don't know, in 2 or 3 weeks. Facilities, the fire alarm panel has failed and we're currently working with a vendor to replace that as well as a number of upgrades. Wildland, we received that track chipper as part of that track chipper grant for about that truck and trailer 4 months ago. Chipping, group 3 is completed and the crew is on schedule for the season. Wanted to recognize Jason Papentos and Ben Moses for all the work in keeping up on that. Wildfire Prepared is going the same way as our chipping program did when we first started it. We become victims of our success. We have, right now our queue is hovering at 170 people with more coming in daily. And a lot of that is driven by the insurance issues we're having. We are working on a plan next year with the next year's budget to try and alleviate that and try and relieve some of the pressure on that. The current wait time is right around 10 to 12 months, which is not a real functional model. We also had the land tender mapping with the intern from College State Forest Service and finalizing the data for each planning unit. And the ambassadors are having an appreciation picnic at Deer Creek Open Space at the end of September. We've also had several of the community chipping days, which has been another great success. And that is what I have.
All right, thank you, Chief. Very much appreciate your input. I'm going to go off script a little bit since this meeting's off script a little bit. Bethany, you had indicated there was a citizen wanted to make a public comment.
Yes.
All right, if we could allow that, please.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You've got 3 minutes. Sharon, if you could.
Oh, I can't see any clock.
She'll yell at it a minute.
I'll tell you when there's 1 minute left.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm not very good at time. Well, good evening and thank you for making an allowance for me to speak since I was a little late. My name is Barbara Ford. I live at 8898 Hillview Road, Morrison. I wanted to bring this to your attention and get a kind of a position statement on it and see if this is the district's position on such matters. I have a letter here and I can pass it out, not in my 3 minutes, unless the clock is done.
Well, it is part of the 3 minutes.
Okay,
So-
okay. So let me talk while I'm passing it out. This is a letter from the fire marshal to the Jefferson County Planning. Hello. To the Jefferson County Planning, Planning and Zoning for a building application up our private road. The letter, as you may see, states that the fire marshal did not evaluate the compliance of our private road with the county private road engineering standards. And says, but to anybody who knows county engineering standards, I like to do a standard and say, this is not compliant with the county engineering standards for width and for grade. This property is a mile up. It traverses some steep terrain, it traverses some, not all of it's steep, but it goes through extreme wildfire danger area. So the fire marshal states that she's not assessed at force compliance with the engineering standards. However, it should be maintained. But once on site, that property on the property must very much comply with county engineering standards. So that bears repeating. The mile road to the property need not comply. But once you get on that property, God damn it, you better have that right width and grade and everything else. The county private road engineering
1 minute.
specify. Thanks, Sharon. So I just wanted to tell you a little about my background. So now Sharon's giving me some extra time here. So I'm a professional engineer and I'm a hydrogeologist. And I work for mining companies among other types of work I do. And there's been many cases where I thought, thank God I'm a pain in the ass. And I am that pain in the ass. Because there's always pressure on schedule, there's pressure on cost, but there's been a couple of times where, one such case, I was a pain in the neck and shut down a drilling rig because even though they located for underground utilities, I was standing there and I was like, well, there's very unremarkable poles, but they lined up. And I thought, oh, that's curious. I shut it down. I had a locator come back out. It cost more money, it cost more time. Locator came out and said, who located this? I told them who located it. There was underground electric there. The drillers were set up right to drill into it.
Time.
So we might have saved a life. Today there was a story about,
Thank you, Barbara.
oh, that's time, that's 3 minutes?
That's 3 minutes.
So engineering standards matter, and I want to know if the fire district is going to
Thank you
keep taking
for
the
your-
place of what county engineers should or shouldn't do.
All right, thank you very much for your
Okay.
input.
Thank you
Appreciate
very
it.
much for letting me come up.
All right, thank you for your inputs. With that, we are going to head towards old business. Item number 1 is an update on the impact fee. Chief Ware, are you going to speak to that?
Yeah, sorry, some technology issues. Yeah, Director Devaney just asked if we could do an update. Still working on that. They're to the county for comments. There have really been no changes. I'm working with Mr. Camille, and we had a couple of changes on our letter that we sent the county. But hopefully, October-ish or November, we should have comments back, and then that resolution that gave the board a few months ago, we'll put that in front of the board, and it'll be up to you guys if we implement the impact fees. So not much of an update, but the process is still moving forward.
All right, thank you very much, Chief. Any questions on that? No? Seeing none, I guess, Chief Ware, you're up again. Strategic plan update?
Yep, give me 1 second. My notes just disappeared here. I managed to do that. Okay. So, our strategic plan, we, as everybody knows, we've been working on that. We completed our strategic plan, and now we are starting to work on some of the issues that were identified in the strategic plan that we needed to improve. So the next one we are going to tackle, we started this a couple weeks ago, is the community risk assessment. That's our Fire Marshal Rush as well as the planning team is kind of taking points on that. Talked about a community risk assessment as a priority, and the next step is it's the next step in our planning process to ensure our services align with community needs. So community risk assessment, what it is and what it isn't, it's not a plan, it's an assessment. It provides a systematic look at the hazards and vulnerabilities in community capacities. It helps us understand what risks exist, wildfire EMS demand, growth pressures, etc. Who and what is most vulnerable, and what resources we have or lack to address those needs. Once complete, it will guide the future strategies, plans, and priorities. The key areas of the CRA, emergency response data and past incidents, community demographics and local risk factors, hazards like wildfire, flooding, infrastructure, failures, and more, critical infrastructure, and community resources. Input from both members and residents through surveys. That's going to be a big deal. So in the next few weeks, we are going to be sending out a survey, and this will capture community perspectives to complement the technical data. It is a dual district effort. The CRA is being conducted with both Elk Creek and Conifer Fire. Results can be separated by district, but also viewed together to inform future collaboration. The planning process and board engagement. The planning team is coordinating this work and will reach out soon to schedule time with the board. And the board's input is critical to keep the process aligned and effective. So look for that probably in the next, I don't know, month or so. The planning team's going to reach out for probably meetings of 1 or 2 people at a time. Timeline, work is underway now with community outreach planned for early October. We're hoping we should have this done by the end of the year. Fire Marshal Rush is leading the technical data collection and coordinating available resources from DFPC. DFPC is being, they're integral in this process. They already have a process put together and they have a lot of resources that are helping us with this document. So the goals to strengthen and update our strategic plan, engage the community and build a clear picture of risk, provide a strong foundation for decisions on district operations and collaborations, support the planning team in studying opportunities and working together, and ultimately enable smarter decisions and safer outcomes for residents and responders. We have not had a full-blown CRA in as long as I can remember, so this is the first time we're doing it. It should be interesting to see how it comes out, and over the next month or so, there will be a lot more data. Next month, we'll have hopefully a larger update and maybe some of the results of what we found.
All right, well, great. Chief, is that everything?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, thank you. I'm really looking forward to seeing that. While I was at the Special District Association Conference, community risk assessments came up several times, and so I'm looking forward to seeing what the team's been working on. Thank you. So item 9C, an update on the collective bargaining agreement. Kathleen?
Yes, so we met via Zoom on August 29th, which I think was a Friday. Let me double check. Yes, it was Friday. There were, I believe, 3 union reps in attendance, and President Devaney and myself. It was more of a kickoff meeting, so it was pretty brief. Different positions were discussed, I guess, what the union is looking for on their side. And then we committed to meeting again as soon as possible. We have another, so it was just a kickoff and super brief meeting. So we have another meeting working on being scheduled. We sent out a doodle poodle, some kind of poll for everybody to figure out with that conference that you guys had last week. We weren't able to meet last week. So we're looking to have a meeting here within the next couple of weeks, I think. And then we'll continue to move forward. So it's really, really, really in the initial stages. Nothing substantial was discussed, I'd say.
All right, thank you. Thank you for the update.
Yep.
Any questions? No? Okay, with that, then, new business is next on the agenda. I don't think we identified any new business. So with that, we'll call for the meeting to be adjourned at 6:44 p.m. on September 25th. Thank you, everybody, for your participation.
I think I should have a motion to adjourn.
Oh, do we have, thank you. Motion to adjourn? Okay. All right, so I got to read my Robert's rule. I got my Robert's rules.
I think you got a second.
All right, do we have a second? Second. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Thank you, everybody.
Record.